Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for August 12th, 2022. The Boston to Require Diversity Data Edition. And we begin with that story from Bloomberg. The city of Boston is going to require diversity data on private real estate projects. This is something that will really help, obviously, DEI, but if you think about it in the context of ESG, this is exactly what companies need to be doing and will really, I think, give further support to an overall ESG effort. Next up from Reuters, Robinhood must face the music as the stock trading platform must face market manipulation claims over the restrictions it's placed on trading during last year's GameStop compliance meme rally. So Robinhood tried desperately not to have to go to court on this, but it was pretty clear what they were doing. And now they're going to have to face the music. Next up from the Wall Street Journal, Risk and Compliance Journal, Richard Vanderpoort reporting that rising global food prices and shortages of grain and fertilizer stemming from the war in Ukraine could create further economic turmoil. I don't think that's news, but what is news is that this is going to become a business risk, which makes it a compliance risk. Many people accept some scarcity, but when that leads to massive food shortages, then you begin to worry about other effects. So if you're doing business in countries that could be impacted by this, what's going to be your business response and what's going to be your compliance response? Our final story today comes to us from the Financial Times. And China has hit big fund chip executives with corruption probes. China's top anti-corruption watchdog has launched investigations against several executives linked to the country's largest chip investment fund. Chinese authorities revealed this week they were investigating 3 former executives connected to the National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund, called the Big Fund. Boy, that's a mouthful. So when the Chinese government begins to investigate corruption, you know that corruption's always going to be found. And as a special final story, we're going to add the press conference of Attorney General Merrick Garland, who announced that the Department of Justice is going to court to ask that its search warrant for Mar-a-Lago and the Trump estate and the inventory of items obtained be released and made to the public. As of the time of this recording, there was no word on the court's ruling, but it's certainly an interesting play by the DOJ. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.